I'd like to introduce our new stainless steel stove. This is our mini stove. It's designed to fit in smaller tents and constructed of stainless steel instead of titanium in order to be a little less expensive. Here's what comes in the box. There is a set of gloves. There are some sharp edges on the stove, especially when you're rolling the stove pipe. So it's a good idea to wear these when handling the stove, especially the chimney pipe. There comes, in the box, there comes a fireplace poker. You can use this or not. A grate for the bottom of the stove that allows you to build your fire on top of it. Again, this is optional. If you're backpacking, you probably wouldn't want to take this with you. A carry bag. Spark arrestor. Some hardware. The chimney rings, and then a clamp to attach the chimney to the stove. And finally, the folding stove body itself. The stove assembly is pretty straightforward. For the time being, we're going to set the chimney and the chimney rings aside. We do have a video on how to roll the chimney that will be linked below. Your spark arrestor and the damper come in two pieces, and you have a small bag of hardware. You need the hardware to assemble the damper to the top of the chimney. There's a protective coating on the legs. Just peel that off before you burn it for the first time. Otherwise it's going to melt and smoke up the inside of your tent. When you place the top plate on the stove, make sure your chimney opening is to the back of the stove. It helps when you're assembling it to apply a little outward pressure to the wall to allow the lock to rotate into place. The damper attaches with the 3 screws. this clamp fits on over the damper, your chimney pipe will then slide on over the damper and under the clamp, and this just allows you to tighten it down to keep it secure to the top of the stove. With the stove, there's a small Allen key and a small wrench for the various fittings on the stove. And then of course your spark arrestor with 3 tie-out points to stabilize your chimney. So, comparing the stainless steel mini stove to our titanium folding stove, differences are as follows. The mini stainless stove comes with a 6.5-foot stainless steel rolling chimney. The titanium stove comes with an 8-foot rolling chimney. The firebox on the mini stainless is 12 inches long. The firebox on the titanium stove is 13.5 inches long. Realistically, you probably need to be in the 8 to 10 inch range for pieces of wood in the stainless stove. You can go up to about 11 inches. So it's going to be about an inch or so shorter than the wood you can put in the titanium stove. The stainless stove is 7.5 inches wide. The titanium stove is 8 inches wide. Smaller firebox means it's going to not quite get the burn time that the titanium stove gets. Neither stove is going to burn all night long. None of the small stoves like this, regardless of who you buy it from, is going to burn all night long. Realistically, you're about between an hour and 2 hours of burn time. And if you want to stay warm all night, you have to stoke the fire throughout the night or rely on your sleep system. Looking at the stoves from the front, the mini stainless is 6 inches tall. The titanium stove is 7 inches tall. Also notice the titanium stove is about 1 inch off the ground. You don't want to have anything flammable under either of the stoves. However, you probably, if you're putting it over a floor or a fireproof blanket, you'll probably want either put a cookie sheet or prop the mini stainless steel up off the ground to give you a little more clearance. This stove is intended for the smaller tents. It's not going to burn as hot, it's not going to burn as long. It'll keep, say, a Mini Peak XL or a Hex Peak or an Octopeak winter shelter. It'll keep it just fine no matter what the temperature is outside. When you get into the larger tents, it's not going to be able to heat the tent as hot as, say, this stove will. It'll still take the condensation out of the tent, still keep it warmer than the outside. But again, this is really intended for the smaller tents. To light your stove, open the vents at the front of the stove. Make sure the vents at the top of the side panels are closed. Open the damper. The damper position corresponds with the handle of the damper. Straight up and down means that the damper is fully open.